Chair Lear.
Should work. Okay. We had several items, starting with item 13.2, discussion of a waiver request for Intech Collegiate Academy. And thank you to Michelle Buse. I don't know how we'll do this without her help, working with these waiver requests, because she's been a great liaison on that. The motion is that the committee moves that the board renew the waiver of the number of health/PE and arts requirements in R277-700 for Intech Collegiate Academy.
Oh, I thought there's a master.
Yep, you're the master.
You're the master.
You're the master. I have a question, and Chair Lear, I'm not sure if this is for you or someone else, but I'm wondering why we would waive these, even though it's just for one school. What about with when another school comes and says, I need to waive this because I'm doing this special program or that special program?
That's the possibility, but Michelle could probably speak to that more artfully than I can.
Speak? Is it okay?
Yes, please.
Yes, we actually have 4 early college high schools, so they're unique in that they are early college high schools that all coordinate with a specific university, and their students are attending university classes on the university campuses. So it's not just, we'd like to focus our kids on something different. Their whole program is based on trying to get the kids all in the college program for computer science, engineering, math. So I can't say that there won't be more that will come for different areas, and you as a board can make the decision whether or not you're comfortable with waiving those, but the 4 that have come are all in the same group.
Follow up?
Okay, yes.
Follow up. So I guess, and this maybe go to Chair Lear or to you, Michelle. So Chair, what do we need to create a rubric where that would fit into that those would be where we would use the waiver, or do you see any avalanche of this coming?
I've had those same concerns with these waivers, whether it's for a 4-day school week or whether it's for a waiver of requirements. We've looked at them on a case-by-case basis, and the committee has always evaluated it that way. I know Janet's always had strong feelings about these waivers, but they really have been individual cases that the schools have made. As Michelle said, in this case, there are the 4 similar charter schools that have made the same argument, and the committee's been persuaded. So
Thank you. I appreciated the conversation you had on this in committee, so.
thanks.
Thank you. Board Member Earl?
My question is, how many years? This isn't the first time.
No.
Right, with this.
Each of them,
Oh, now you turned it off again. Okay, I got you.
Each of them is limited to 3 years, and they have to reapply. And there was discussion amongst the committee that as education has changed over the past years and become more adaptable to online and more adaptable to different options available for students, that these might not be granted in the future when they come for renewal. I'm not saying they would or wouldn't, but there was discussion about whether it would be as necessary in the future because of the changes that education is taking on.
So is this the first time for this?
No, it's
No,
renewal.
it is
Yeah,
the second
that's what I'm
for
saying.
all 4
We've been
of them.
doing it they've been doing it at least 3 years.
Correct.
Right, okay, thank you.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor that the board renews the waiver of the number of health, PE, and arts requirements in R277-700 for Intech Collegiate Academy. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Push your light again, Carol.
Item 10.3, R277-922, Digital Teaching and Learning Grant Program. It's an amendment and continuation. The committee moves that the board continue and approve R277-922, Digital Teaching and Learning Grant Program, Draft 2, on second and final reading.
There's a motion on the floor that the board continues and approves R277-922 Digital Teaching and Learning Grant Program Draft 2 on second and final reading. Discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Item, and I said that wrong, that was 13.3, this is 13.4. Sorry, we went from an old agenda. This would be discussion of R277-318, Teacher Salary Supplement Program, an amendment and continuation. The committee moves that the board continue and approve R277-318, Teacher Salary Supplement Program, Draft 1, on second and final reading.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor that the board continues and approves R277-318 Teacher Salary Supplement Program, Draft 1, on second and final reading. Discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Item 13.5, driver, R277-746, Driver Education Programs for Utah Schools, amendment and continuation. This involved a manual as well as the discussion about the rule itself. The committee moves that the board continue and approve R277-746, Driver Education Programs for Utah Schools, Draft 1, on second and final reading.
There's a motion on the floor that the board continues and approves R277-746 Driver Education Programs for Utah Schools, Draft 1, on second and final reading. Discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes unanimously.
Item 13.6, R277-438, dual enrollment. This is just a continuation. The committee moves that the board continue R277-438, dual enrollment, Draft 1, on second and final reading.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor that the board continues R277-438 dual enrollment draft 1 on second and final reading. Discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Me, one.
Thank you. This motion passes with all in favor, with one opposed. Vice Chair Belknap.
Item 13.7, R277-502, educator licensing and data retention. It's a repeal recommendation. These rules, as you recall, licensing rules have been moved to a different place. We're not doing away with this. The committee moves that the board repeal R277-502, educator licensing and data retention, on second and final reading.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor that the board repeals R277-502, educator licensing and data retention, on second and final reading. Discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes unanimously.
Item 13.8, this is an agreement extension request from the Salt Lake County Health Department. The committee moves that the board approve the agreement extension request from Salt Lake County Health.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor that the board approves the agreement extension request from Salt Lake County Health Department. Discussion, Board Member Earl.
Why do they need the data? I'm not trying to be flippant. I'm just,
No.
why do they need it? Was it that beneficial this year?
And I can't answer that off the top of my head. I'm hoping somebody is here who can.
Is our data specialist, Whitney Phillips, available? I can,
Can you remember, Cindy?
I can remember. Is it appropriate for me to?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you can answer questions.
Oh, no, inform no one. Follow protocol. Do not inform anyone.
Yeah, it was a timing issue. They said it cut down the time significantly to let, if I remember this right, to let families know that there was an exposure to COVID. So whereas in the other areas, the nurses go to the school, they get the information, they go back to the place, they call the families, and then oftentimes it's, several days past when it would make a difference for the family to know anyway. So it cut down the time pretty significantly for them, and they're asking for an extension on that.
So
Board Member Earl.
by what? What was the time
Oh.
cut? Because I'm not sure that was, I'm hearing that's the case, but,
Whitney's online?
Okay.
Oh, Whitney's online.
Okay, Director Phillips, would you like to address the questions?
Do you need a refresher on the questions?
okay.
While she's getting on, can we go to Board Member Hart?
I'd like to wait until I hear from
Okay.
Whitney. Thank you.
How,
Yeah.
and maybe this, I guess we don't have anything from anybody from the health department here, but other areas are doing this without this more,
Maybe they shouldn't be doing it without an agreement. Maybe we're in a safer.
and maybe they're not doing it the same way. In other words,
Possibly.
they're gathering all the data anyways. but-
They're just doing it the long way. Dr.
Well,
Dixon? Yeah, same info, but.
Yeah, I don't know that it's sharing of, go ahead. I can't remember.
You know, this is a topic of conversation that has come up from the, both the superintendents and the Department of Health, of just feeling like they were passing each other in the night with information. So there's a reporting feature of families who report, for example, to their local health authority, that their family had been exposed, their child had been exposed, or their child had tested positive. And then schools weren't always getting that information. On the converse of that, local health authorities were trying to figure out how to share information with families, and they were not getting responses. Sometimes schools weren't responding, families weren't responding. Dr. Norman, if I'm missing some of this, and you might remember some of this conversation, but so both entities just felt like they were not getting the information they needed from each other. And so the goal was to, as I'm understanding it, I wish Betty Sue or somebody else was on, but the goal, as I'm understanding it, was to try and shorten the time, to your point, to the most immediate time frame possible to notify of positive cases, so that they could stop that
Thank
coming
you.
to the school. And then I think that's
got-
where Whitney
yes.
got onto the
Whitney's
Director
here to
Phillips?
MOU.
Hi, apologize for being a little tardy. Whitney Phillips, Chief Privacy Officer, reporting from home today. I'm getting over a little bit of a sickness. I heard the conversation on YouTube and then quickly transitioned to Zoom. You're saying all the right things. Parents take their students into different providers, health departments around Utah. They get tested. These providers are required to submit positive test results to the local county departments of departments of health. And part of what the Department of Health does is they need to verify enrollment of the student. And sometimes that's pretty easy if you're in a rural area and there's only one high school in town. You can make a pretty good assumption that the students enrolled there, but they still need that verification. So I believe the Superintendent Dixon was explaining this, where before this agreement was in place, there was a number of staff at the Department of Health calling nurses at the schools to verify enrollment. And sometimes we have, I think, one nurse for hundreds of students. There's not very much time to respond. Also, if the student is not enrolled, they might be enrolled in a different school that isn't in where they would live. And so what we're doing for the Department of Health is just saying, yes, they're enrolled in this particular school, and the Department of Health can let the school know so that they're able to keep track of these counts in a more timely fashion. The Department of Health is entitled to this information. It's whether they get it manually by contacting the nurses, or whether they're able to look at our data to say this person is enrolled in this school and not have to ask the nurses for that information, that verification.
And what is the not the assumption, but we're stating that we're going to continue this because it's highly effective. What is the time frame it's cutting down? Do they know?
That's a good question. I think they're going to get the exact information, whether they look at whether they have this data sharing agreement or they get the information from the nurses. It's just quite a bit faster. They can get the information within minutes, whereas if they're to contact a nurse, they might need for the nurse to verify the enrollment, call them back, and that might take some time. Especially away from the nurse taking care of other kids who are sick and not necessarily wanting to constantly respond to those inquiries.
Thank you. Board Member Hart?
What data are we sharing with them? What data fields?
Verification of enrollment. Only verification and enrollment, nothing else.
Thank you. Superintendent Dixon?
Vice Chair Davis, just trying to answer Board Member Earl's question the best of my ability. On calls that I've been on, the concern was that it was taking days, or sometimes they weren't getting the information at all.
Nurses.
It's okay. I'm just answering your question, Board Member Earl.
I
Sorry.
know you are. I'm
okay.
listening.
Okay.
She
You're
asked a
you're more
question, too.
talented than I am. I can't listen to two things at once. So it was taking days, and sometimes they were not getting responses at all. So that's being able to look it up digitally. It's immediate. So I can't speak for everyone, but those
Yeah.
were that was the narrative that we were hearing on some of the calls.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Board Member Earl?
The most efficient way, and I know it's not always happening, but I think with the awareness of illness and things going on, and my experience has been a parent immediately says, we have COVID at our house, or we've been, we won't be coming. And then immediately, they've already made contact long before a health department can ever get the connection there. And I'm not saying it's happening everywhere. Maybe there's some places that there's significant deficits, but I just have concerns about sharing private data in this regard, so.
Thank you. Board Member Lear?
I think two things are worth noting. One, this is only asking for a year's extension, not forever. And secondly, we have probably more diverse, not probably, there are more diverse family situations in Salt Lake County than there are many places in the state. So whereas it might be easier for some family situations to get an immediate response from a parent, there are more single-parent families, there are more extended families situations in Salt Lake County than in other places. So I think it's a really good, it's really helpful in this part of the state for this option to be available.
Thank you. Board Member Hymas?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I asked Board Member Klein, she's on the committee with us as well. I believe when we looked up the data, I asked a few of these questions during committee meeting last month. And the data, I think we found was the name and the date of birth. Does that sound correct, Director Phillips? And
well,
gender.
the name and date of
and the
birth
color.
actually,
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, the name of date of birth are actually collected by the health provider. So that information we know, the health provider has name, date of birth, typically the address as well. And that's why they provide information of positive test results, which they're required to through Utah communicable disease regulations that they need to, they have that already. What we're providing isn't what I would say per se private information. It's just information verifying enrollment of where the student attends school. And so they want to know if they're in the health department, the county health department can guess where they're at and call different schools in the area based on the student's address that the parent provides. But this way we're able to say this student, this enrollment, and so they're able to verify that.
Thank you. Board Member Hymas, do you have a follow-up?
Sorry, just for clarification, so, again, reading over the document, what we can provide from what is written is name, date of birth, and gender. Those are the three things that we voted on in committee. Are you saying we provide addresses and other?
So the Department of Health has that information. That's how we,
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Board Member Davis just answered your question.
okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, the doctor already provides all of that information. The piece that we provide that's additional is the enrollment in the school. Board Member Lear?
No,
she's-
I'm sorry.
keep
I
on.
spoke.
Stay on. Oh, dang,
Want to speak?
because she's the chair.
Oh, okay. There's a motion on the floor that the board approves the agreement extension request from Salt Lake County Health Department. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No,
Let's do well, let's have, those opposed, raise your hand. 4, Board Member Earl, Board Member Hart, Board Member Klein, Board Member Hutchings, and Board Member Belknap. Okay, Chair Hanson. That passes minus the 4 that I read. Are we good?